From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? Back at it. Back at that whole winning thing, Corey. Look at that.
Yeah, man.
Winners. Covering a winning program again, or at least a 500 program.
Yeah.
Feels pretty good, right?
Better than the alternative, I guess.
Yeah. All right, let's get right to it. What did they do? What happened? What changed?
Well, that's a good question.
Because that's what I've been thinking about these last few days.
They were better on offense. They were better out of the gate on offense, which was really good to see that they could move the ball early. That's something. I mean, the whole moving it at all has been an issue, but especially early on, they've been really bad. And taking kind of control of the game right away with those two scores. And quite frankly, if Patrick doesn't fumble after converting that 4th and 1, I think they're getting ready to march right in for more points. Could have been 17 or 21-0, and the game is completely out of reach. And this team right now just doesn't quite have that
attitude of domination.
That, or they can't get out of its own way. Like it doesn't know how to take control of a game. It doesn't know how to keep momentum. There's still things that a team that's not used to winning has to learn how to do. And Patrick has been on some winning teams. He's been a part of football wins. But you can't put the football on the ground right there, man. I mean, you're a 240-pound senior running back against Northern Illinois. You got the first down. Keep the ball. You kind of get it with McKitty. He's played 4 games in his career, man. You've played 30. Hold on to the ball. If you hold on to the ball right there, the game might be a wrap in the first quarter. But you give them life. And that's kind of what this team, even in a win, there's still a lot of mistakes that can be fixed. But to me, that was, you get up 14-0, you get another stop. It doesn't look like Northern Illinois even wants to be there.
Yeah.
You have a chance to put them away. If you get up 3 scores on them, with their offense, they would have just tucked and run. I mean, that would have been the ball game, I think. But you give them a little breathing room. That's just what you do. Mm-hmm. And then you have the turnover by McKitty that gives them essentially, in the play by Taylor, that gives them points. That's just stuff that not good football teams do. And right now, obviously, this is still a not good football team.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not putting too much stock into a win over Northern Illinois. It was impressive how much it was impressive that they improved. That was better to see than the alternative. They certainly were better than they were against Syracuse, but by no means would you have watched that game on Saturday and think, yeah, they got it all figured out now.
Turn the corner. It's funny because if we had just gone ahead and left the press box after they went up 14-0, I'd have been so excited. Like there was something that happened live when that game was occurring that even when all these blunders kept happening, it didn't bother me. I was just like, the fact that they looked that good for not just one drive where it was like, you can just say it was like a fluke or something like that, but they looked good 2 drives back-to-back early in the game. I'm like, they just need that. Everything else to me was inconsequential. Just like, prove to yourself, not even the fans. I don't care about me. I don't care about the people in the stands. Like, prove to the people in the locker room that you guys can do this. You can actually go fast. You can execute this offense the way it's intended to. Not only do it once, but you did it twice. And at that point, I'm like, good. I'm fine. Awesome. They're good. Everything else, I'm like, whatever. But then at some point, like in the second half, it became a little much. Yeah. The errors and just like, come on. Like, just knock it off. Close it. Finish this game out. Close them out. But I mean, yeah, I still was trying to figure out what did they do differently. And because I see people on the message boards on warchant.com, use the promo code warchant30, get yourself 30 free days on the Tribal Council and all the premium content, Corey's columns, etc., etc. People are like, well, listen, NIU's got the best defense that Florida State's probably played. NIU's got a better defense than Syracuse. I'm like, well, really? Is that what we're doing right now? Or we're calibrating the expectations of this game and the errors that, well, listen, man, NIU's good. NIU's good defense.
Well, I mean, NIU, what I wrote, which is what people should take solace in, because there were some ugly moments in that game, obviously. The penalties, I think they had 7 or 8 after the half, the 4 turnovers. But you scored 37, and whether Northern Illinois is better than Syracuse or worse than Syracuse, they're similar. There's similar units one way or the other. I don't know who's better, but it's by degrees, in a few degrees. It's not by much. So to go from 1 week where you look like you didn't practice, I mean, you just didn't do anything offensively at all, to go to a week where you score 37 and have 500 yards of offense almost, and if you wouldn't have fumbled going in for another score, and if your quarterback doesn't throw it right to the linebacker on that play in the fourth quarter, you might put up 50, and you might put up 550 yards of offense. That's how close you were to having a huge day. You still had a good day. So when you look at it like that, the improvement they made is something that I think you can, be encouraged by. Maybe not excited by, because it still looked a certain way in the second half for long stretches, and you just can't run the ball. You just can't. And they didn't do anything differently to try to run the ball, in my opinion. But you should be encouraged by the fact that they did make plays. Their receivers went and made plays. Yeah. And they put points on the board after that abomination up in the Carrier Dome.
Yeah, and the weird thing is asking, Willie just thought that I thought they dialed into practice, he was saying. I think he said he felt that they had a better week of practice. The players were holding themselves more accountable after they had that players-only meeting. DeAndre, I think, echoed the same sort of stuff. I mean, I don't want to, I'm going to sit here and just find things to complain about, but, why did it take – and I asked him, why did it take you guys 3 weeks? Why did it take you guys 3 weeks to give a damn and practice properly?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about this as a new staff.
And that's what Willie said, right? Willie was the one that said it looked like they came out and were accountable and practiced harder than they had all year after the players-only meeting. Well, what did it take? Why did it take that?
You weren't stoked after a 7-6 embarrassing season and a whole new staff and a whole new start to come out, opening night, primetime television, black jerseys, all this stuff. You weren't pumped enough that week to go get after it. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's a youth thing. Maybe there's a void of leadership, at least player leadership. Maybe some of that got established in that players-only meeting. All that said, though, yeah, they won. They're 2-2, one step closer to bowl eligibility. That's a good thing. That's a really important thing.
4 more, baby. 4 more.
And yeah, I don't know. I mean, and this is, ultimately this doesn't matter within the scope of being a Florida State fan. As being a college football fan, it's a little bit of a bummer. But, I mean, the ACC is just absolutely horrible this year. I mean, I know it's only 4 weeks, but you can't really say anything otherwise. I mean, it's probably the worst Power 5 conference in the nation, which is a drag if you live in Atlanta, if you live in Mobile, if you live in Nashville, because you're dealing with SEC fans. But this maybe gives you a little bit of hope that maybe some of these streaks, while still on life support, are perhaps in reach.
Yeah, Louisville scored 3 points against Virginia. I think I saw where they're 125th in the nation in total offense, Louisville is. Jeez. So imagine what we're going to all watch on Saturday with these two offenses
what you're going to watch on Saturday.
It's not going to be like the 2014 game up there, I can promise you. So, that certainly looks like a winnable game. I don't even know if Florida State would be favored.
I saw they were a 5-point favorite on
Florida
the road.
State is?
Yeah.
Wow.
I should confirm that while you.
But either way, it's a small spread. I wouldn't say Florida State's if they're favored to win, it's not going to be by much. But it's a winnable game. Miami only won by 14 points against FIU. They went to a new quarterback, who I guess is going to stay there.
Perry,
he's going to stay their quarterback, according to Rick, and he should have done that before because Rozier's just not any good. So you got that. You got later on down the season, Wake Forest, Boston College. Neither one of them looked good at all. They were both routed. I mean, Wake Forest will be the worst defense Florida State plays the rest of the way. BC only scored 13 against Purdue, who's not a very good defense. So there's things that when you look down at the schedule, you're like, okay, there's 3 or 4 or 5 more winnable games, and it's weird to be in that spot as somebody that covers Florida State and the people who listen to the show that cheer for Florida State, where you're just trying to see a path to bowl eligibility. But I don't think what we saw Saturday would make you think anything. I don't think you're all of a sudden thinking New Year's 6. Like, okay, if we went out, we can be in the Orange Bowl. Heck, yeah. Clemson might lose twice. We're one of their losses. We're going to the ACC championship game. Our
ship didn't get bigger. The tide just got a lot lower.
Well, but it did get a little bigger. I do think that they looked like they practiced. Like, they looked like they actually practiced offense. They had some plays. Some dudes were running open. I'm telling you, I thought the best play of the whole game was the play that DeAndre threw the interception. They're selling out for the run.
And it was a good play call.
That's what I'm saying. You can't run. You've established that you can't run, but you've also established you're going to keep trying.
Yeah.
So the linebackers are firing up. All he has to do is lead, just put air on it and lead McKitty towards the sideline the way he's running instead of trying to throw a dart right at him. And that's at least a 30 or 40-yard gain. And that's if the safety takes a good angle and runs him out of bounds. I mean, the field was there. It's a great play call, just poor execution. Now, again, you could coach him up better and say, hey, man, don't throw it right at the linebacker.
Yeah.
Give him time. He's going to be running this way. But that said, I thought they made plays that looked like plays. They were real football plays. Francois kept the ball a little bit. I just think he threw the ball really well. Really well. Made some great throws. He just still doesn't see it. When it comes to the running game, which is what Willie Taggart needs for this offense to be good, it's just not working. And most of that is on the guys up front, but some of it is 12. He's not reading it. He's not seeing it, whether he's supposed to run or throw because they have so many RPOs. And, again, there was a time where I think it might have been the 3rd and short. I can't remember what play it was. It was 3rd and short in the second half where obviously Francois checked to something that he shouldn't have checked to, and Taggart was livid.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Livid at the call.
Yeah.
And so that's the stuff you're still learning. And Taggart even said as much after the game that, yeah, he had a good game, but there's still some reads that he's not making. Yeah. And we're 4 games in. And Willie Taggart knows that this offense can't be the offense that he wants if the quarterback is still not seeing what he's supposed to see in the running game, because this offense is predicated on the run. That's where all the yardage – that's where everything builds off that. And if you got 2 5-star running backs averaging under 4 yards a carry like you have right now, man, it's rough. It's rough. And there were stretches in that game where it was rough to watch, just like all the other games.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they figured out the 5 guys you're going to go to battle with on the offensive line. I don't know how much better they did. I still haven't seen the grades come down from Pro Football Focus. We'll probably talk about it on the show tomorrow. But I don't know how much – I will say this. Obviously, the criticisms that might have been said in the previous weeks, I don't think ever, although were construed by some folks as not having faith in Willie getting it done. I mean, my whole thing was just like, I don't want to sit here and talk about, well, Nick Saban sucked his first year, and so did Kirby, and so did Urban, so we'll be all right. I get it, but I don't want to use that as any sort of evidence. I want to see this team play these games, get better, show me that you can get it done.
Well, didn't you see that a little bit, though? That's what I'm saying. You said even those first 2 drives were enough.
Yeah, my God. I was just laughing because everybody started getting tense in the press box. I'm like, relax. I'm like, they're going to win this game. When they went up 14-0 and then there was a couple of hiccups here and there, I'm like, relax. Everyone was like, you could feel people in the press box get tensed up and start making smarmy comments, and you're like, relax, man. It's Northern Illinois. They prove they can get it done. Then they need to find a way to put their foot on the pedal and keep it there for 4 whole quarters. But I think oddly enough, watching that Oregon game against Stanford, which, by the way, I didn't even realize that the whole thing where they're going to go up 31-7 and they called them out the 1 yard line. They fumbled it 2 plays later. I didn't realize that happened.
Oh, I didn't either. They're about to put the game away.
Yeah, they fumble. Snap goes over his head. They scoop and score. Stanford and makes it 24-14 or whatever like that. Anywho, watching that kid, who's going to be probably, I guess they're saying a first-round pick, Justin Herbert, the quarterback at Oregon.
Yeah, he's really good.
I mean, good God. I mean, everything about him, just his release, the velocity on his throws, he's a really, really good quarterback. He's much better than DeAndre Francois as a quarterback. Not even this system, that system, just as a quarterback is just better.
Of course.
So that I'm watching this and I'm thinking, and it's so hard to be like, well, just be patient, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't want to be patient. Florida State's never been patient. Shoot, 2002, after you survive against Iowa State, you got a whole bunch of people that wanted Bobby Bowden now, and that was in 2002, and he made it 7 more years. But watching that offense, and seeing the way Oregon played with that quarterback, and I don't know if their skill position guys are any more athletic than Florida State's. You would think if this all goes according to plan and Taggart.
What position group do you think is better than Florida State's?
Well, the quarterback.
No, what else?
Well, the offensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're loaded there.
Yeah. Well, I'm not concerned. I was talking more about the guys.
Right.
Well, those are guys that set up the plays. We'll talk more about the receivers making the actual plays and whatnot. But seeing that, I just wonder how much of this is, yes, you do have to be patient to, let them learn. I don't know how much of it's, learn the offense or just ultimately get a quarterback in here that's going to run his offense the way it has to be run.
Combination
and I'm not
of
trying
both,
to be, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to DeAndre Francois. I mean, he threw the heck out of the ball. He made some really good throws. I think he's a good quarterback. I just wonder, even next year, I don't know how much of it is DeAndre learning the offense, or he simply just doesn't have the skill set, mentality to play to execute this offense at a high enough level that you'd expect at a place like Florida State. Because he could do this at NC State and win 9 games and go down as a really great quarterback. But at Florida State, your redshirt senior year in 2019, you go 9-3.
Well, yeah, 9-3 would be impressive, I think, in 2019, honestly. Again, Willie took over a program last year where all those guys were familiar enough with that system. I'm sure there were tweaks. It wasn't the exact system. No offenses are. But it was enough that they knew what they were doing. And he also took over an offensive line that was good, that has real talent on it. And he had Cristobal helping dial up the block. I mean, it worked well. It was a good offense. And that's the thing. He was great with Herbert as his quarterback, and they were awful without him. But they still ran the ball. The quarterback just couldn't throw. Yeah. Well, now he's got a quarterback that can throw, and he's got weapons. Keith Gavin might be a draft pick one day. I mean, I know he can't find the end zone ever, but that body and that size, he's got a chance. And everybody knows what we think of 15. So he's got some weapons. And Naquan made some really big plays, some nice plays in that game. He's got weapons, but he doesn't have a quarterback that helps the running game at all. And I really was, as much as it was, as positive as it was to see them score and move the ball at times and hit a huge play. I think they had 4 pass plays over 30 yards in that game.
Ira was trying to give me he told me a stat in the press box and I forgot it, but it was just about like plays over 20 or 30 yards.
I think going into that game, they had 4 pass plays over 30 yards all season, and then they had 4 in that game.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Oh,
that was good. But, you're going to be playing other defenses that don't have to sell out so much to stop the run. And you're also going to be playing defenses with better secondaries. So, maybe you're not going to have Naquan Murray going up over a guy and catching a ball in traffic, or Keith Gavin making a catch with people right there, breaking tackles and all that. And you're also not going to have Jacques Patrick probably catch a deflection for a touchdown. But so you look at that and you're like, okay, for this thing to run at optimal level, you're going to need, in my opinion, you're going to need a quarterback that can run it. And run the ball and run it and see it and hand it off quicker. They don't have that now. But you're also allowed to coach them up. I mean, Francois does have some tools. He throws a nice ball, a really nice ball. Other than late in the Virginia Tech game, he makes usually the right read. Even though, I mean, the interception he had was the perfect read. Obviously, that's who he's supposed to be throwing to. He just made a terrible throw. But it was the right read. So I'm sure he graded out really well. But in the run game, you're going to have to hopefully find that. And that's what I don't. What will he look like next year at this time? What will he be more confident doing it? Will he be healthier? I do think he's not himself health-wise. He's just not full speed, full quickness. You don't need full speed when you're a quarterback in this system. Really, how many times are you going to be running for a 90-yard touchdown? But you need full quickness where you can make somebody miss and get 7 yards instead of 3. And he doesn't really have that yet. And I don't know if he's going to get it this year. So in the meantime, what can you do to make it easier for him? That's why I thought they would do other things with 2 running backs back there, with the diamond formation, with wild cam. Whatever you want to do, switch it up. And they didn't.
They did none of it.
They did none of it, but, running as much as they did, straight into the line like a brick wall, did set up the Terry 78-yard touchdown. It did set up some big pass plays. Yeah. For what, I think, looking at it, I know we'll go to a break. So in the first half, I think Francois was 19 of 24. Like he threw 24 times in the first half. In the second half, I think he threw, 7?
Yeah, or he was.
I think he was 22 of 31.
Yeah.
So he threw 7 times in the second half. One was a little flip to Harrison.
Maybe a 31.
Yeah, but 31 attempts. So he had 7 attempts in the second half. Right. One was the little flip to Harrison, and one was the ridiculous bomb pass late in the middle of the fourth quarter, when they had just picked up a big first down, and they rushed to the line and then threw a pass for some reason. So really, he threw like 5 passes that were, in the second half. Yeah. That was Willie Taggart saying, gosh darn it, I feel like we have control of this game. We have to run the ball. We have to establish the run. We have to keep doing this over and over and over. Didn't work, but it did help set up the Terry touchdown because you run the ball so much. So, you did some good things on offense. You looked like a real offense for 4 or 5 of those drives.
There we go. We'll take that.
Yeah.
Let's take a brief intermission here. We'll call it halftime. We'll be right back after this. It's Wake Up War Chant.
You're listening to Wake Up War Chant, all Noles, every day. Now back to Corey and Aslan.
I ain't as good as I once was. That's just the cold, hard truth.
Timing is key in everything, Corey. In running an offense and blitzing off the edge, and also checking out Pro Football Focus. So actually the grades have dropped. What do you want to look at first? What do you want to know there, Coach?
Defense.
What about a defensive summary? Events?
Yeah, just defensive summary. Who graded out? Who are the top 5 defenders?
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, this is a really nice little tool that we have now. But this is so
it's
weird
not exact, obviously, folks. I want you to know that. It's not like there's some science to this and you can know for sure who graded out the best. These aren't coaches' grades. But it's a good tool to use of what we think they did with their assignments and how well they played in relation to those assignments.
5 guys. Number 5, Corey Durden. 4, A.J. Westbrook. 3, Asante Samuel Jr. 2, Marvin Wilson. Number 1, Frederick Jones.
There you go. Well, in that, what is that? I mean, they ran for 6 yards.
Yeah.
They couldn't do anything against the middle of Florida State's defense, which, again, was good to see. When you talk
Without
about
DeMarcus Christmas either.
Yeah, and when you talk about what you were looking for, again, it looked a little bit more like a Florida State defense. I thought they attacked more. I thought they were more aggressive. I thought they were more physical. They did not get any turnovers, and they gave up too many passing yards in the second half to a not good quarterback. But they also completely made them abandon the run with the way they were physical up front. And again, Syracuse, we know Syracuse's offense is better than Northern Illinois'. It's debatable on the other side of the ball. But Syracuse ran for 222 last week, and then this week Northern Illinois ran for 6. Well, okay, you're starting to see it. You know what I mean? Like you're starting to see some improvement a little bit when they concentrate on something. I'm talking about the coaching staff and the players in practice. We've got to get better. We've got to shore up the middle of our defense because it got cut through in the second half against Syracuse.
Yeah.
Like, dare I say, a hot knife in, what do you want to throw out there? Mayonnaise?
Through an orange?
Well, usually the phrase is butter.
Right.
But why are you using a hot knife with butter anyway?
Who has hot knives? What do you do?
I guess right out of the dishwasher.
Yeah.
And then what are you doing with butter at that point? Putting it on toast? But anyway,
Crazy.
So I'm going to start saying hot knife through mayonnaise. But like a hot knife through mayonnaise in the second half of that Syracuse game. But, they looked really – Northern Illinois was averaging like 196 rushing yards per game and then just completely abandoned it. They're like, nope, we can't do that. No. And so they just stopped even trying. Which, again, was good that Florida State kind of made them quit one aspect of the offensive attack, but then the defense still
coverage is a little bit suspect.
You can't give up 66 yards, a 66-yard pass. That dude could fly, by the way, for Northern Illinois. Good grief. But the safety takes a terrible angle, and then Taylor needs to quit giving up touchdowns. You want to be an NFL cornerback, man? Stop giving up touchdowns.
Maybe he'll have to come back now.
Also, pass rush. They didn't get home a lot at all. They had 2 sacks on like 43 pass attempts. I think Brian Burns had some hurries.
He was rated. He graded up pretty low. I've moved over to offense, but he was not in the top 10 guys that graded.
Yeah, and he's too good a player to not be an impact player at all.
People are mad at us too. Like, oh, the TC or they're like War Chant hyping up another player preseason again. Shocker.
For who?
Brian Burns.
Oh, he's been fine. Yeah. He hasn't been terrible. They do things for him to take him out of the play sometimes. Not just FSU fans and fandom in general. Man, there aren't going to be a lot of Peter Boulwares. You're not going to have 20 sacks in a season. Right. DeMarcus Walker had 16 sacks, but he got half of those as the defensive tackle. He wasn't just coming off the edge, racing by guys getting sacks. That's really hard to do. So, I don't expect the guy to have 15 sacks, especially because he's always coming from one side. They use him in coverage some, and on that last fourth down play, one of the fourth down plays, he made a really good play in coverage to take away the angle that the quarterback had. So he's doing other things, but no, he hasn't been a superstar. But who has, Aslan? Who has on the Florida State team through 4 games?
By the way, congratulations to everybody who purchased Jawan Williams stock last week. Real good dividends paid off on that one. And he was at like 1.6, 1.8 last week.
What did he go up to this week?
36.9.
There you go. That was
his offensive grade. His pass blocking was 75. He graded out 75 through his run blocking.
Yeah, they kept
like
Francois
57.
upright for the most part. Did a pretty good job. And their good defensive end, I mean, it was a huge play. It was a strip sack. But that was the only one he had. That was the only one he had.
Was that the one he just smoked by Brady Scott coming off the right side?
Blitzed by him. So who are the highest graded players on offense? Top 5. Obviously, I'm going to say Francois was 1.
Nope. Just outside. He was at 6.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Gavin?
it's kind of I mean, Amir Rasul in slop time slid by him.
Oh, okay, that doesn't count. So guys that actually played, he was 5.
Naquan 4, Trayshawn Harrison 3, DJ 2, Keith Gavin 1.
So all the receivers.
Yep.
Except for our man, Tamorian Terry.
Somehow, I guess catching 78-yard touchdown pass isn't really
it wasn't involved. Probably wasn't involved as he needed to be. He's got 8 catches this year, 3 are for touchdowns.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Cole Minshew, highest graded out offensive lineman, but still only at a 62.6.
Yeah, and they had in the Samford game, the O-line had, I think, 3 guys in the 80s. And then this week, the highest one is in the 60s.
Yeah.
So, again, all that comes back to the rushing attack. Like, they did pretty well in pass pro, but they just can't create many holes. They can't get any push. And the defenses are going to – I mean, you got Louisville and Miami the next 2 weeks. That's rough. It's rough. It's Miami's definitely better than Northern Illinois' defense, and Louisville probably is too. So – you got to keep making improvements, man, and you got to find a way to help. The only thing I can think, now that I think about it, is maybe they didn't want to show off some of the new formations they're working on, knowing that Louisville's coming up and Miami's coming up. They didn't want to give them 3 weeks, 2 weeks to scout for it. Yeah. Especially when they scored like they did those first 2 drives.
Yeah, like
they thought, okay, we're good. We're good. We don't need to show too much.
It's weird, though, because I'm looking at blocking and allowed pressures, and then Mike Arnold was actually the number 1 ranked graded guy, and then Cole Minshew was like the 7th guy. I mean, McKitty was ahead of him, Cam Akers was ahead of him in terms of blocking and allowed pressures. So, but for whatever reason, straight up pass blocking, Mike Arnold graded out at 85, Arthur Williams graded out at 77. So, that was pretty good. Yeah. Jawan Brent graded out at 75 on pass blocking. I wonder if he's going to – Did he finish the game out, or did Bello eventually go back in?
I thought Bello did,
yeah,
honestly.
He doesn't have a lot of snaps. They only had 12 snaps, 9 in run blocking, 3 in pass blocking for Jawan. But didn't he have like 2 false start penalties, though?
He did, including one before he even – like he came onto the field.
Play.
And then the first play, before his first play, he got a false start.
Yeah.
But you got to build confidence up with these guys, man. Got to build confidence.
How about Trayshawn Harrison? That was a pretty nice little flash.
Now that guy has something to him, and you look at that, and you're like,
Willie straight up was like, he's gonna be one of the best, like one of the better ones to play here. It's
yeah,
like, whoa,
yeah.
Really? Like,
and I mean, you can see the wiggle that he's got now. It's pretty remarkable. He's one of those guys that just they have a natural ability to not get tackled. The first guy doesn't bring them down, and he made a couple.
Oh man, folks, that's
plays.
Corey's thing right there. If you're a wide receiver and you're gonna come to Florida State, be ready to draw the wrath of Corey. Well, actually, you won't, because he's a gentleman about it. He'll just vent about it to me and Ira in the press box.
Right.
But you don't like it when receivers go down on the first bit of contact.
What I don't like, this team, and I guess Terry will get 40 yards after the catch because where he caught it and then racing.
Yeah.
But their yak yards are almost non-existent. They catch the ball, and the first person that can bring them down brings them down. And that's not just a wide receiver thing. That seems to be, for the most part, a skill position thing. There aren't a lot of broken tackles by anyone. You're not seeing a lot of people making guys miss. I thought Naquan had a good one where he made a couple guys miss and got a first down. Oh. Trayshawn on the little shovel pass to him where I think he got 6 yards when he should have gotten -3.
Now, what do we call that when they come in motion? He just granny tosses it to him.
Just a flip pass, a shovel pass, I guess. But but I saw that out of 88, and I saw it a little more in that game on Saturday where, again, man, you should be good enough if you're at Florida State that when you catch the ball and it's you and somebody else one-on-one, you should not go down so easily. You just shouldn't. You should be hard to tackle. There aren't – I know Alabama's Alabama and Georgia's Georgia, but you see dudes make people miss. Like they're not all just running free wide open for touchdowns. Sometimes you got to go make plays even if it's not schemed up perfectly. And I think 88's one of those guys that in the future is a guy that – man, the first guy's not going to bring him down, and nor should he, nor should any of the guys at Florida State. But too often I've seen where they're easily tackleable.
Sure, I'll take it.
Tackleable is probably a word. It seems like it could be tackleable. It's a hard word to tackle. Tackleable. So that was cool to see out of 88. My man wasn't going down. The first guy was not bringing him down, and I think he got at least 1 or 2 first downs after making people miss.
All right, so where do we go from here? What do we expect? I guess I mean, we don't think they've turned a corner. Maybe a corner, but not the corner, right?
Maybe they slowed it down, like the trend that was going this way. That was
he's motioning down.
Motioning down like a what is it?
Slope?
Would that be like a slope?
Ski
yeah,
jump?
Yeah.
He's going down the ski jump.
Going down a ski jump. So maybe they motioned it. They stopped it. Maybe they hit the bottom of the ski jump and they're starting to go back up.
Okay.
And then they're going to fly into the mountains. Well, you don't want that. That's a negative connotation.
Yeah,
but a ski jump where they show them, behind, and you see them, that awesome view of them in the air. Yeah,
like an eagle.
So maybe they're starting to go back up now. Maybe that's what Saturday was they hit. They didn't turn the corner, but they stopped the momentum going downwards, and they're starting back up again. Hope on both sides of the ball. I thought there were good things to take away from both sides of the ball, and special teams was a lot better. It's hard to block without blocking someone in the back apparently on a return. But Aguayo was really good, Agreto, and Logan Tyler had a couple nice punts.
I guess this is the silver lining about this season right now is that no matter what happens, like we go into Syracuse game and it was like, all right, they've had a full week of game prep. We'll see what they're made of. They're expecting growth. Walt Bell said as much that he's expecting like a sort of a good jump out of the team. Well, it doesn't happen in Syracuse. We start talking about all these streaks being in jeopardy. Then you beat Northern Illinois, and you look pretty good doing it for the first half of the game. So then everything now is back alive. You go beat Louis. And that's the thing. That's the crazy thing I think is going to be about this week, and you talked about it last week. Like you can't be that fan that's going to get mad whenever this team loses. Just kind of accept what the season's going to be and roll with it. Because I think this is going to be such a week-to-week team.
Yeah.
It really is just going to be like – Willie Taggart can say this at the beginning of every press conference, and we could roll our eyes at it, but it'd be like, well, he's really not lying. He'd be like, listen, we're starting the season 0-0. We just want to go to 1-0 this week. We just want to move to 1-0 this week. Like, you beat Louisville. I think there's so much positive momentum, but then you play Miami. And then if something bad happens there, then you're back at square one talking about things. I think, with every win and loss, we're just going to be hanging on it, trying to just squeeze so much hope out of every single positive performance or fear for the worst after a bad performance. I think it's just like, let's just accept these for what they are. And like ultimately, I don't know if I might sound a little like down on the win. Not down on the win. I just accept the fact that this is not going to go nearly as well as I thought it was going to go, which doesn't mean it can't eventually be a good program, can't be a championship caliber program. But I just want to see that offense just sustain itself and not shoot itself in the foot.
Yeah, and again, I'll go back to it, man. I thought we were going to see one of those. I really think it was in play that we were going to see like a 59-7.
Yeah.
And I think you're dealing with a team that's not used to winning, certainly not used to winning big. They just don't. It's not in their DNA right now to blow teams out ever. They're mostly kids on this roster have never been a part of a blowout against a real team.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if this one would have counted. But against a Power 5 team, they just don't blow teams out. But if Patrick doesn't fumble there and you go down and take a 17 or a 21-point lead, I think you're on your way to 55 or 59 points. But you fumble, there's an exhale in this crowd. I think there's an exhale in the sidelines. And then not an exhale, but just a groan, like, oh, here we go again. And that's something they have to shake that out of them, man. They have to be able to have something bad happen to them and rebound, and they don't. They haven't. That's not part of what this team is right now, and that's something that has to be built through doing it, but also through maybe roster turnover. There's too many guys on this team that are okay with squeaking by or okay with losing. Not through really any fault of their own. It's just what they're used to. I mean, if they were getting irate and despondent and inconsolable after every loss or every close win, well, they wouldn't be able to function because that's all they've known for 3 years now. So they're used to it. So with roster turnover maybe, and also just something's got to happen, man. Maybe you get down to Louisville 14-0, but somehow come back to win. That's something you can build on for the program for the future. Right now, this team does not handle adversity at all. That they didn't melt down on Saturday, but it was close.
I mean, if that kid doesn't go out of bounds,
you're talking about puckered up. I mean, then you're really puckered up, and nobody would have expected that offense to march right back down the field afterwards. Yeah. You would have expected a punt or a turnover. That's kind of what this team still is. And one win over Northern Illinois certainly doesn't shake you of that. That was maybe the most disappointing is that you had a chance to finish them early. And instead you lost momentum, and it took a long, long time to wrestle it back. And even when you're about to go in maybe to get a 21-7 lead right before half, you're feeling good again. Your senior center snaps it to midfield almost. Now Aguayo comes back and makes a clutch kick. That really was a clutch kick, man. That was a big-time kick. And he got iced for like 4 minutes, and he still stayed out there and drilled it. That was good. That was good for him and probably good for the future of this football team.
It was 91 degrees. They were doing warm-ups, and he was kicking a 40-yarder. And I said, if he makes this, I'm going to go down and film the team. If he doesn't, I'm going to stay up here in the air-conditioned press box, which would have been the coward's play, right? Like, if he misses it, I'm going to stay up here because that's the better odds, right? Because he's been struggling. But I'm like, nah, I'm going to go out there and provide content for these people. I want to go down there. I want to sweat. So if he makes this, which I know he's going to, I'm going to go down there. And he nailed it in
drilled it right in the middle, right down the tunnel.
And every single field goal that he kicked in the game was perfect.
Yeah, man, those were really, really impressive kicks, and that's something.
And that's a good thing, too, because
yeah.
This team, I think, regardless of what happens, I don't think this team is – hopefully he's not going to get blown out even when they do lose. So the fact that they have a field goal kicker who now can make some significant kicks of distance when games matter.
That kick before the half and the other one he had in the second half. I thought those were big kicks, man. Yeah. But again, you can't fumble right there. But if you do fumble, get a quick 3 and out and go right back down the field again. That's what good offenses do. This team isn't there yet, but. It's not just plays that are called and schemes. It's a mindset. It's an attitude. That's not cliche. I know it sounds cliche, but it isn't. The good teams, good players, don't let one mistake get them down. Right. I thought, Trey McKitty fumbled his first or second catch or whatever it was, and then wasn't a factor again the rest of the way. Yeah. That's not good. That can't happen.
This is a very punitive coaching staff, I feel like, though. Like they quickly, other than Cam, because they've been sticking with DeAndre and haven't been really unfazed them. But they pull a guy, you goof, they pull you quickly. I feel like.
Yeah, and I think they pulled Patrick after the fumble, but he was also he still came back in and made some plays for him too. But yeah, man, that's you got it one way or the other. You got to make it worth their while to hold on to the football. Yeah. And maybe Rasul gets carries the next time one of those guys fumbles.
How did he actually look? Because I was getting ready for
he ran hard. Like, again, it was against, I don't know, maybe that was the Northern Illinois starting defense. I was on the field, so I'm not sure.
Gassed out, game over.
Yeah, the game's over. They're just running out the clock. They literally could have taken a knee and the game would have been over, but they were giving the ball to Rasul. But he ran hard. I mean, he sought out contact and drove people back. I mean, he ran hard, and that's something you hadn't seen a lot of. Quite frankly, from the first two guys, and
fair.
they haven't gotten a lot of time. They haven't gotten a lot of chances to do it. They're always having to dodge people as soon as they get the ball. But it was impressive enough that you would have thought. And I even asked Willie, does he work himself into the rotation at all? And I basically got the Heisman.
Yeah.
Like, we got good running backs as it is, but we're happy that he played that well. So it's like, okay, well then 22 is not going to be a. Yeah. But Anthony Grant got in there early.
One rep, -1 yard, never to be seen again.
So
I don't understand, and this isn't a thing against Willie.
And
but
that wasn't his fault.
Many coaches do that. They just throw a guy in there to find a spark, and he doesn't provide on the one snap, and they yank him. Like, what's the point? I mean, what are you doing to the kid?
And so moving forward, what you're going to be looking for when it comes to the running game, folks, is look. Sometimes it just can't work because the offensive line isn't any good, but sometimes it can, and the quarterback makes the right read, and the running back doesn't make the right. It just doesn't. He goes down too easily, or he makes the wrong read. And case in point, and then we'll let it go. There was a 3rd and short where they ran Naquan out. Basically, they gave him the ball straight to the sideline. Yeah. And I can't imagine that was the play call. I think that's an element of the play depending on what the defense does. But if that's the way the play is designed, for him to just go straight to the sideline and hope that your wide receivers out wide that can't block are going to somehow block.
This is it.
And that your receiver that doesn't necessarily seek out contact is going to cut it upfield really quickly and make people – I just can't imagine that's what you call on 3rd and 2. And he loses 7 and you have to punt. That's odd. That's something that I don't know if that's Francois. I think Francois might supposed to fake it to him and keep it. Right. Because the two plays in that possession, he had gotten like 3 yards and 4 yards running up the middle. Mm-hmm. They were designed runs. That one he just gives it to him, and he's got no chance. He has to try to turn back around because there's nothing there. And I just can't even imagine you think that's going to work a lot. And whose fault is that? Is that Walt Bell saying, hey, run the jet with Nooney? That should be a touchdown. Oh. Is that DeAndre saying, oh, this looks like it could be a touchdown if I give it to Nooney. Does he have the option to keep it? Like I don't really know how that offense works, but you hope it's not just because if you're trying to find an identity that's physical, you don't run on 3rd and 2. You're a 180-pound receiver on a jet sweep and lose 7 yards. You run it up the gut with your quarterback or your running back. So moving forward, just all that has to work in concert together, and it's still not in the running game. I mean, again, I hate to be negative because they did win. They put up a lot of points and yards and threw the ball really well. But, you average less than 3 yards a rush. You have 50. I think he had 55 attempts for 120 yards, something crazy. You ran 89 plays, which was good.
Which is, yeah. It was like Stanford. I think they showed some sort of stat where Oregon had ran like 80 plays. Stanford had run 40, but it was a tie game.
Yeah.
So that's a weird sort of, number I think a lot of people get caught up on. Obviously, if you're running more plays, you're having more possessions, and you're thinking that you're probably scoring on it, but a lot of times you can go 3 and out. And as long as your defense is doing good, getting the ball back in a short amount of time, you're going to put up a lot of plays. Last thought for me, Corey, is just, and it speaks to the fact that they ran the ball that many times in what was a futile enterprise, F-U-T-I-L-E.
Correct. We're always going to let you guys know how we're spelling futile when we say
not
it.
an economic system.
Not a serfdom either.
Yeah. Neither of that. But I think that was sort of I think Ira saw a sort of nobility in that, or at least some sort of big picture, long game thing in terms of running the ball despite the fact that it not being successful. And I guess
I'm kind of with him and against him on that. Like I understand what he's saying, but
I'm
not sure if I'm 100%.
Because while it might have opened up things for the future, opened up things in that game, I think at this point, with the way Francois was throwing the ball, why not just keep throwing it? And I saw people like, people want Willie to throw the ball around like this is Texas Tech in a video game. Well, like, why not just keep doing what works and then run off of that? Mm-hmm. Set up the run by passing the ball effectively. Go into Louisville where they're like, all right, man, they're going to want to keep throwing the ball everywhere. Let's throw in a nickelback. Let's not put 7-8 guys in the box, and then you can run off of that. That's the only thing that. But I guess Willie, I don't know if Willie's so much of it was setting things up for the future or just trying to instill a mentality.
I think it's trying to instill a mentality, and I get it. But he also has to know now that it ain't working. Like, you can try to instill that mentality, but if you have what you have, it really is like running into a brick wall. It's like banging your head against a wall and expecting it not to hurt or for the wall to break down. No, you're just going to keep hurting your head. The wall's not crumbling, your head will. So I think eventually you have to – there's a fine line between that. You don't want to just give up and scrap your whole identity and say we're going to be this finesse, throw it out wide, throw it 60 times type football team. But you also want to win. And when you moved the ball on Saturday, it was because you were throwing the ball. You averaged 2.5 yards a carry against a group of 5 team. So what are you going to do against Notre Dame and Miami? In Clemson? You ain't running on them. So, I get that. But also at the same point, I guess his counter would be, well, if we can't run against them, we're not beating them.
Yeah.
So we have to figure this out one way or the other. And Northern Illinois is a perfect opponent to try to figure it out, to try to instill some confidence in our guys up front that they can move people and that we're not giving up on them and we're going to keep our identity and they're going to get it eventually. I don't think they will. That's why I don't think they're, I still think reaching a bowl is going to be really hard because I just don't think they can run this offense with this offensive line as it currently consists of right now. And the way the quarterback runs it in the running game. But I guess you don't, if you believe in what you're doing, you believe in what you're doing.
Yeah, because we would sit here and then, he doesn't worry about us criticizing it, but then you risk the fact that you're changing everything and it shows that you don't believe in your own system. Yeah. You don't believe in your own principles, so you're changing everything after 3 games. Stick to what you think works so that these guys eventually come around and then for whatever Jimbo would talk about 13 being successful because of the lessons they learned in 12, maybe there's lessons learned in run the ball 50 times and it not succeeding in Northern Illinois that when you play Boston College and it's a rainy damn game and you can't throw the ball, somehow maybe it starts clicking and you learn from that sort of moment. Because these are the guys that are going to go to Bouth on the offensive line now. Yeah. Derek Kelly, I don't know when he's coming back. He was on crutches. We don't know what's going on with Landon Dickerson. It sounded like that's gone from weeks to maybe a month or more.
Right.
Although we've been 2 weeks without him, so it just feels like Derek Kelly is probably going to be shelved for. I don't. Again, he was on crutches. I shouldn't speculate anything about Derek Kelly, but he was on crutches. what we heard on Dickerson was that, again, that was going to be 3 to 4 weeks, and we're 2 weeks into it. It might even go a little bit past that, but it's going to be some semblance of either Bello and Jawan Williams at left tackle, and you're going to have Arthur Williams. I think Mike Arnold got pulled in that game. I don't know if that was because of effectiveness or health, but I mean, they have a very limited number of guys now on the offensive line. I think maybe a part of it was just to let those guys know, like, moving forward, it's probably going to be you guys, and this is what we're going to have to do, and we have to figure it out now.
And good luck.
Yeah, indeed.
Good luck and Godspeed.
All
We're
right,
all counting on you, kids.
All right, let's go talk to Willie at the press conference, and we'll follow up with another one of these podcasts for you folks on Tuesday. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening, folks. It's been Wake Up War Chant.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.